When the street fell silent at dusk, the screen doors of the dark houses opened one by one, and the shadows of the women came to sit outside, a vigil on the concrete steps. Delfina was one of them, but her worry was a different sort. She didn't know these women yet, and these women didn't know her. She and her husband and her little boy had been in the neighborhood for only a month, renting a 2-room house at the end of the street with a narrow screened-in back porch, a tight bathroom with no insulation, and a mildewed kitchen. There was only a dirt yard for the boy to play in, and they had to drive into the town center to use the payphone to call back to Texas, where Delfina was from. They had been here just long enough for Delfina's husband to be welcomed along to the fieldwork, the pay split among all the neighborhood men, the work truck chugging away from the street before the sun even rose. When Delfina saw the first silhouette rise into feet, she thought of the private turmoil these other women felt in the absence of their men, and she knew that her own house held none of that. Just days before the end of June, with the rent due soon, she thought that all the women on the front steps might believe that nothing could be any different until the men returned, that nothing could change until they arrived back from wherever they had been taken. She knew the gravity of her worry, to be sure, but she felt a resolve that seemed absent in the women, putting out last cigarettes and retreating behind the screen doors. She watched as the street went dark past sundown and the neighborhood children were sent inside to bed. The longer she held her place on her front steps, the stronger she felt. From the far end of the street, one of the women emerged from a porch, and Delfina saw her walk toward her house, guided by a few dim porch lights and the wan blur of television sets glowing through the windows. When the woman, tall and slender, arrived at her front yard, Delfina could make out the long sleeves of a husband's work shirt and wisps of hair falling from her neighbor's bun. "Buenas tardes," the woman said. "Buenas tardes," Delfina answered, and rather than invite her forward, she rose from the steps and met her at the edge of the yard. "Sometimes they don't come back right away," the neighbor said in Spanish. "But don't worry, they'll come back soon. All of them. If they take them together, they come back together." The woman extended her hand. "Me llamo Liz," she said. "Delfina," she answered, and as Liz emerged fully out of the street shadow, Delfina saw a face about the same age as hers. "Your house was empty for nearly 3 months," said Liz, "before you arrived. That's a long time around here, even for our neighborhood. Everything costs so much these days." "It does," Delfina agreed. "Was it expensive in Texas?" Liz asked. "Is that why you moved?"